Jim Onis, what is your finest Thanksgiving Day football memory? Right now, cold open. Maybe you were playing a football game in the backyard. Maybe you're watching Phil Luckett screw up a coin flip between the Lions and Steelers. What is your finest? Maybe it's Randy Moss against Dallas. Maybe it's I don't know, Brett Favre against the Cowboys back in the day. What's at the top of your list?
No, I believe that's a good question. I want to say, Tyler, and we need Bob to get on this one because I grew up a Green Bay Packers fan. There was a game on Thanksgiving. I want to say, I don't remember who the quarterback was for Green Bay. I don't know if it was Favre or not. I have to go back and look. But they did play a big game against Dallas, which back in the day, Green Bay was never on. So when they did play on Thanksgiving, because Dallas was always on, it was for a Packers fan, you couldn't wait to actually see your team. So that game sticks out. Obviously, it doesn't stick out enough that I remember the game itself, but I remember having the excitement to watch Green Bay on Thanksgiving, to finally watch my favorite football team. And then as you get older, I can tell you that's become a fun, like I was talking about, a little vice day where whether it's wine, gambling, whatever your vice is on Thanksgiving, you're in your house with your friends and family. Yeah. That's your day to kind of unwind. And I can tell you I've had some good gambling stories on Thanksgiving. One of the best days of the year gambling. So it's a fun holiday.
A minute and a half in, and you had to get right into the gambling.
Let's watch football.
I mean, hey.
What are we doing in the NFL? Why else are you watching Davis Mills or Shedeur Sanders or who are these?
The love of the game.
The love of football.
I love a nice little Davis Mills drop-off, fundamentally sound football there. No, it's true. I mean, back then, though, Green Bay was tortured by the Cowboys. They couldn't win at Texas Stadium. They lost like 7 in a row inside that stadium.
I think Dallas had a backup quarterback playing. I'm gonna
Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett on Thanksgiving.
That's the game.
Yes.
That was the game. One, yeah. I don't even remember the outcome.
Yeah, it is great though because you get football at noon, right? It's always been a little earlier than usual. So you can, when we'd always eat Thanksgiving food early in the Dunn household too. And I'm like the only one in my family that doesn't hunt. Everybody else is out in the woods, looking for the next 10 point. And so like, I'm usually just there not by myself for a good stretch of time. But this year, my brother got a buck. My 97-year-old grandfather's still going strong. He still hunts, but I think him and my dad, they might take the day off and we'll dive right into football together as a fam and bring in the kiddos into the fold, which, by the way, I'm sure a lot of dads can attest to this. My most favorite day of the year, bar none, is taking my daughter to our annual hockey game. It's just the best. Like, she knows what's going on now. We went to that 9-goal Sabre game last week on Friday night. It was awesome. She's not afraid of the goal horn anymore, so she's just leaping out of her seat. And it used to just be all about the popcorn and the pop and the usher handed her a puck before the game. Now she's like into the game a little bit. She knows what a penalty is. That's when somebody gets into trouble and they got to go to timeout for a couple minutes. And she knows, hey, you got the advantage there. So it's, it was awesome. And if the Sabres can win, you weren't around Western New York much for those times, Jim Onis, but it's different locally when the hockey team's winning. It's hard to describe. And I remember a prom night was when they eliminated the Ottawa Senators the year that they won the President's Trophy. And we just all left our dates and found a TV somewhere at Holiday Valley in Ellicottville and watched the end of the game. Just horrible dates on prom night that we were just leaving them all stranded to watch a hockey game. But that was the power of the Buffalo Sabres. You just didn't know what was going to happen. Briere, Drury, Pominville, Roy, Jenneret on the call. It was thrilling. So not going to get ahead of ourselves. They got a lot of work to do, but it was a fun atmosphere, man.
Well, let me ask you this. Is anybody still with those dates from that night, or are you guys all still Sabres fans?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
I don't – it's probably the last time many of us even talked to our dates that night.
Right
that was it.
To go watch the game.
Right, just kind of drawing that line in the sand. Look, if it's elimination game and you got a chance to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, there was no pushback either. They didn't care. Everybody, that's the thing. Everybody just kind of understood. It reminded me of, now I'm going way back. St. Bonaventure is huge here in the Southern Tier. And when they lost, but when they made the tournament and played Kentucky in 2000, I don't know if you remember, David Messiah Capers hit like 3 free throws with point whatever seconds left to force overtime, ice in the veins. Like when the local D1 basketball team made the tournament, it was during school and everybody just flocked to the gym and they rolled in a TV and nobody cared. Like nobody got in trouble. Teachers, principals, you could just leave class and go watch that game. I think if a sporting event has that kind of magnetic pull, it's special. And that was Buffalo Sabres hockey for that period, right? In like 05, 06, and 06, 07.
What's funny, Tyler, I feel like I've lived here long enough, on and off for, say, 7 years. That 7 years, I've at least heard every year that people wish I could have lived here when the Sabres were good. And so it's been that long where they just haven't been relevant since I've been here in Buffalo. I would like to see what this city's like, especially down south, since the Sabres are there. I'd like to see the restaurants and bars, how they do if the Sabres were a playoff type caliber team.
Well, you knew one of the GMs that boldly tried to bring us back to those days, right? Tim Murray. He tried, man. He tried. He had a plan. He had a vision, and it was 100 miles an hour to get there. And now we see why he was so pissed off when the corrupt ping pong balls in Toronto went Edmonton's favor for Connor McDavid. Because I think at that point you're thinking, oh, McDavid, Jack Eichel, they're both generational talents. It's a win-win. Like he knew that McDavid was on a totally different plane than Jack Eichel.
Did.
But yeah, you knew Tim. I think both of us have had beers with Tim at downtown Buffalo, and I know the one night I did, I could not keep up. He's a bulldog.
Yeah, we all fit in well together. It's funny because, yeah, we were with Tim and Terry Pagula during that time, and you could tell that Tim knew. Terry, I think, convinced himself that it was okay. Hey, we're still going to get a great player, which I guess he is. I mean, obviously he's won Stanley Cup, but yeah, McDavid's a real deal. And everybody knew. You know what I love about that, though, was just as the scout, being a part of listening to Tim Murray talk about McDavid, that conviction. And when you see a generational, I actually, I can remember as a young scout wondering, Darrell Revis was a guy that I remember thinking, this isn't normal. Like, how is this guy this big, can cover with this size, with ball skills, tough, you don't know when you think you're seeing something special, but then you get it confirmed, and it's it just builds your library and Tim Murray was completely convicted on that one. I do remember. I mean, I guess a lot of people were. It sounds like he was LeBron-like, but
if the listeners want 2 hours of Connor McDavid talk, I'd be all for it. I remember watching him with the Erie Otters in the OHL live, and it was, you know what it was? It was Jamar Chase, Jahmyr Gibbs against the Giants this past week, where, 3 or 4 of those breakaway runs where he's just at a completely different velocity than the other 21 players on a football field. That was McDavid every single shift for the Erie Otters. It's like, okay, he is ready to play in the NHL right now, whenever it was 16, 17 years old, against guys double his age, because that game-winning touchdown from Gibbs against the Giants, Penei Sewell's throwing up the touchdown sign, and Gibbs isn't even at the 42, 43-yard line yet. And the safety's got the angle on him for the Giants. And he just slams that accelerator. He's gone.
Special. It's unbelievable how good he is. To think, I know we don't need to get in Detroit. Just so you know, that's the most hockey I've ever talked about in my life, what we just did. So that's the best I can give you. I can't go much further. I could get into Gibbs, though. I like that comparison as far as, though, how it hits you when you see you're witnessing something special. Gibbs is on a level. I don't think there's anybody in his class right now. I mean, maybe Robinson from Atlanta. Taylor is different for Indy. Gibbs is just dynamic. He's I think where we thought maybe Reggie Bush would be in New Orleans when we were fortunate enough to get Reggie. Reggie didn't end up. People I always say this, please look at Reggie Bush's career stats everywhere he went, not just New Orleans, Detroit, Miami. Unbelievable career. he just never lived up to that second pick of the draft type thing. My point of that is we didn't think Reggie could stay on the field every play as that every down back after rookie year and realize what he was. And it was okay. He was a weapon. You just, use him everywhere you can. Gibbs is every down back. I mean, I've seen him pass pro, catch the ball out of the backfield. He can score from anywhere. I don't usually think running backs like he and Robinson, when you're talking about running backs, and we talk about Genty and with the Raiders every week here, how bad he is, 2 yards to carry Genty, top 10 pick. This is a top 10 pick. Gibbs is a top 10 pick. Robinson, top 10 pick, Atlanta, whatever he was. Those are dynamic players that you can't find. Bowling balls, grind out backs, 4th round. Sorry, it's that simple. So, yes, Gibbs, McDavid, I like that comparison. For a non-hockey guy, that gives me a good picture of where you see, as good as you see McDavid.
Yeah. I like what you said, though. I think when Reggie Bush was going pro, there are you can count on one hand the level of excitement, like the level of expectations. I mean, it was no doubt about it. He's going to be a perennial all-pro, dominant, 2,000 all-purpose yards or 2,000 scrimmage yards a year kind of player. It's it was weird. I know exactly where I was when the news leaked that the Houston Texans were going to draft Mario Williams instead of Reggie Bush. I was at my buddy Spencer's house. He's a listener of the pod. And I don't even know what we're doing. This is back in
2000.
Yeah, this is back in high school, but senior year, 2006. That's when I graduated. And I just remember my jaw hitting the floor. Like, how can you not draft Reggie Bush? We just saw him. It's eviscerate college football, game in, game out, down in, down out. And Jahmyr Gibbs is everything that we hoped Reggie Bush was going to be. And you're right. And this isn't to say Bush was a bust. I mean, he won a Super Bowl. He was
everything.
Maybe not dynamite, but very, very, serviceable, automatic first down kind of receiver. You could just dump it off to him.
I mean, people forget he did. He set receptions, I think, as a rookie. So, yes, Coach Sean Payton knew how to use him once he figured out exactly who he was. To your point, he was just a very important, dynamic piece to our Super Bowl success for sure. But Gibbs is.
I think this is the perfect. Oh, yeah. I mean,
here's the difference. Reggie Bush, like his talent needed a Drew Brees type of quarterback where he's going to carry us no matter what. Golf needs Gibbs. Like I think, where I don't know if Golf can carry the Detroit, without the help of Gibbs. Is how I feel that with Detroit. Well,
you're right.
If Reggie had a bad game, if Reggie had an off game, or they stopped Reggie, we were okay in New Orleans. Like we were going to be fine.
I mean, he did have a reincarnation with the Buffalo Bills. Reggie Bush. He was
okay. So I was a part of this. Honestly, it's embarrassing for everybody involved. I'll say that. I picked Reggie up. Me, another scout, we were at Rochester training camp. We drove back to Buffalo where he flew into Buffalo. So we drove to Buffalo to pick Reggie up. And I knew Reggie from New Orleans. So, we wanted to see a familiar face and blah, blah, blah. I don't think it was real. I can tell you it was probably one of the more depressing car rides from Buffalo Airport to St. John Fisher, that trip. I think Reggie contemplated everything.
Did he? What the hell am I doing here? How could you tell?
I've been around
Did he say anything?
I've been around Reggie to know enough. Like when you think about Heisman, USC, Kardashian, New Orleans, Super Bowl, St. John Fisher. Man, that's reality for him. So but like a true pro though.
Dorm life.
But true pro. He did everything he could. We just didn't have the right vision to really use him at that point.
I mean, it is an all-time stat line, that 2016 season.
That's why I said it's embarrassing
for Reggie Bush. 12 carries for -3 yards.
Not even possible.
But he did gain 3 first downs. So he gained 3 first downs on those 12 carries. Boy, there must have been some real stinkers in there. Just
never could get
plays gone completely awry.
We just never even used him.
Yeah. 7 catches for 90 yards. But, at that point, he's 31. He didn't really do anything for San Francisco the year prior. Really, Detroit the year prior. He was 3 years removed from that 1,000-yarder that he had with the Lions.
He was done. The injuries caught. Yeah,
he was done.
He was done. Had to give it one last shot.
You know what, though? Like, there's so many Gibbs analogies you can use. I mean, everything we wanted Reggie Bush to be. Connor McDavid playing for the Erie Otters. You know what else pops to mind is, like, you don't need to play pickup basketball, and it's kind of going back and forth, and it's down to the wire, and you just have one dude on your team who maybe he did play college ball, but just on a totally different talent level that just says, screw it, F it, I'm taking over right now. Like that was him that game. Like the Lions are just playing footsie with Jameis Winston and the New York Giants, like at home. They got no business just letting this team that just fired their head coach and now they fired their defensive coordinator hang around. And Gibbs is like, enough of this. I'm taking over. And it's kind of the perfect segue to everything that we want to get into on this podcast. And as we'll get into a lot of teams and a lot of players on Real Football here with our longtime NFL scout exec, Jim Monis. But you were the director of personnel with the Bills, as you referenced, Southeast scout for the Super Bowl champion New Orleans Saints. Then before that, you were a scout with the Philadelphia Eagles. And, it's a team that we have not written about nearly enough this season, talked about nearly enough this season. So I really want to flesh out a lot of space for everything Eagles because they have one of those players. I mean, let's start there. Saquon Barkley last season was everything we're talking about. Gibbs against the Giants, McDavid, Division I player dropped into a pickup basketball game. Last year, averaged 5.8 a carry, 2,005 yards. Would have broken the record probably if he played in that last game. 13 touchdowns. The best player through the postseason. Was central to everything that the Eagles were. And then he gets a raise, rightfully so, after the season. Well, this year, he's fresh off of a 10-carry, 22-yard day against the Dallas Cowboys, a brutal fumble with 7 minutes to go. He's only averaging 3.7 a carry. That's 684 yards on 185 attempts. And he was pretty honest after that game, said, quote, "I'm not playing well. I've got to play better. That's really it. I'm a big believer that the run game starts with me and ends with me. I'm in a little funk right now." He had 0 rushing yards in the fourth quarter. After averaging 6.6 yards per carry in the fourth quarter last year. Think about Philly closing those games out with Saquon, and he really cranked it up weeks 12 through 17. He's averaging only 1.9 yards per carry in the fourth quarter this season. And another stat, my buddy Zach Berman, we went to Syracuse together, wrote a really good story on all things Saquon Barkley at The Athletic. It's worth checking out. He had this stat too, and this is from PFF actually. He's averaging 1.4 yards before contact to carry this year after 2.64 last year. So the line's not playing as well. He's seeing more 8-man boxes. 48.6% of the time he's facing 8 men in the box this year. The most since his rookie year with the Giants. Compare that to 40.3 last year. And then I think I'm kind of like throwing a bunch of numbers at you that point to different reasons for this lack of production. But, let's face it too, Jim. He's a running back with a lot of mileage. If you include the postseason, he touched the ball 482 times last year. That's the most that anybody in the NFL has carried the ball, touched the ball total. Since who? Since DeMarco Murray had 497 for Dallas a decade ago, and then he just fell off a cliff with Philly the next year. Yes. So, and then you wonder, okay, like, is it catching up to him? But then he has he does have his top end speed. He's been clocked at 21.87 miles per hour and 21.68 miles per hour on 2 plays this year. Those are 2 of the 13 fastest times for anybody in the NFL. So it's like, okay, he's not exactly, Reggie Bush strapping on the number 22 for the Buffalo Bills. It's still in there, but what do you attribute to this to? Because I think on this pod, we want to figure out what's wrong with the Philadelphia Eagles. What's right too? They are right in the mix still for the number 1 seed. But it all does start with their best player, Saquon Barkley. To you, Jim, what's going on with Saquon?
You just summed up why the Eagles are struggling. Because the teams have decided to stop their best player, who is not Jalen Hurts. Your best player should be the quarterback, not Saquon Barkley. So when you are seeing 8-man boxes, why are you seeing 8-man boxes? We have to stop Barkley. We're not afraid of the quarterback throwing down the field. That has become evident and obvious. I don't want to say Hurts has been exposed, but this is real simple. We'll do, because you were giving out some good stats. I have a couple too. This year, points per play, they are 11th in the NFL. That's not bad. That's playoff worthy. Last year, they were 8th. Okay, so that's pretty much on par. So points per play, their points, that's okay. Here's where it gets funny. Yards per play. Last year, they were 8th. This year, 20th. Rushing yards per attempt. This is the last stat. Last year, 2nd. This year, 25th. There it is. They can't run the ball, and Hurts isn't good enough, even though I know Dan Orlovsky says he's number 1 quarterback in the NFL. Everybody wants to say it because you're afraid to say what he is. He's a system athlete.
Yeah.
Just say it.
Yeah.
Stop being so afraid. You said it perfectly. The teams are trying to stop their best player, who is Saquon Barkley, not Jalen Hurts. Let Hurts quarterback sneak me to death. Let him throw down the field to death. That's what teams have said.
And what I got to find it exactly here. But what happens when, shit starts hitting the fan? We start hearing the truth leak out to the public a little bit.
They're doing their best.
And that's what's happening.
They're doing their best. The offense.
Well, the Seth Joyner show, there's a report there. This is before the Dallas game even. They said that a lot of people in that organization are growing frustrated with the quarterback situation right now. And then The Athletic echoed that, provided some specifics, and said it's all about Jalen Hurts being hesitant to throw the ball into tight windows, leaning too heavily on checkdowns and scrambles, not trusting what's down the field. We know A.J. Brown is just freaking miserable. I mean, he's just hating life. I mean, he's telling everybody, don't draft me in fantasy football. I think we've said it before. He is George Costanza hooking up the trophy to the back of his car and driving around the parking lot. He doesn't give a damn. And Nick Sirianni and this team, they can handle the drama. And I think that's what does give me a little hope that they'll work through this too. But it all stems with exactly what you just said and what everybody is afraid to say. Jalen Hurts cannot beat you right now. He can't. But look, this isn't a shock. This is why he went in the middle to the end of the second round. This is why Nick Saban benched him in a national championship game for Tua Tagovailoa. He is a tough as nails inside runner who can throw it deep. He's got the arm to do it. Hell, he did it against Dallas, 3rd and 10 to Devontae Smith down the right sideline. Incredible play. They go up at 21-0. You think they're going to cruise. They're going to dominate. But a quarterback who's paid like a top-end elite 4,000-yard, 30-touchdown quarterback, that's just never who he's been. That's okay because guess what? He wins a lot of games. But I think you're seeing the great counter from defenses. They are loading up the box. Philly's line isn't playing as well as they did last year. They're more banged up than they were last year. Mekhi Becton left. Lane Johnson is in and out of the lineup. I mean, if he can play, he's going to play. But Landon Dickerson was so early in there. There's all these other little factors for sure. And Saquon getting older is part of that. But at the top of the list, it's okay, if teams are doing this in the modern NFL, and you've got A.J. Brown, you've got Devontae Smith, you've got Dallas Goedert, you've got to make them pay. You've got to push the ball down the field. And that's just not who Jalen Hurts is consistently through a football game.
So real quick, 100%, this is perfect because I agree with you. It's always been said. We talked about when Sean Payton told the NFL Russell Wilson couldn't play. Nobody believed him. Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin thought Coach Payton was wrong. And so Steelers signed him. Embarrassing. Nick Saban tried to tell everybody that for him to win, he needs Tua is a more quarterback savvy to run your offense the way you want it run as a coach, get the ball out quick. But that Tua, Nick Saban, the greatest coach in the history of college football, is telling us that Tua is a better quarterback, not better athlete, not better system, all that. We're not going to get into that, but a better pure quarterback. Tua, we were told. Well, I believe that. I just look, completions per game this year. Completions per game. Philadelphia is 28th. Wait, let me just tell you who they're with, though. 28th, and guess who they're right ahead of? Almost tied. J.J. McCarthy.
Oh.
Right. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about a team that can't complete passes, and they can't run the ball. So you tell me. A.J. Brown, they do it now. This offensive coordinator is an interesting scenario. Like we were talking about the coordinator graveyards getting filled up this time of year. This is Sirianni's boy, correct? They go way back. He may have a tough firing on his hands. That's part of the business. But you can't have players like A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. Like these are superstar playmakers that you aren't even using because of your quarterback who's been anointed maybe by Jordan. I always thought that was a little strange how the Nike brand, Michael Jordan, just took. Now, how could you be Jalen Hurts and not have that go to your head a little bit? Michael Jordan and Derek Jeter are telling you you're worthy of the Nike brand. You can hang with us. That's a big deal.
And I'm not even like a Jalen Hurts hater. I don't think you are. There's so much to love. I mean, he is a maniacal worker. And I think it says so much about his personality that he did bounce back from that second half benching in a national title game when the entire country's watching to then play backup the next year. I think it was thrown into the SEC championship late that season, played well, gets to Oklahoma, does enough there to warrant a shot in the NFL. I mean, God, they moved on from the Carson Wentz business. Not long after Carson Wentz was the MVP frontrunner, and they won a Super Bowl after he went down. There's a lot to love about Jalen Hurts. It's just when A.J. Brown is standing there and says, "Look, yeah, well, if there's something wrong, I'm paraphrasing. If there's something wrong with me, there's something wrong with Saquon." Like they're saying the quiet part out loud, right? It's about the quarterback, and now you've got people in the organization putting it out there. We want this guy to pull the trigger more. So the question then, Jim, is like, can they dig themselves out of this? I mean, there is a formula. It did win a Super Bowl. If you can get Saquon Barkley going, then that's number one somehow. I mean, between weeks 12 and 17 last year, he averaged 144.7 yards a game. That was 24 and a half better than anybody else. So maybe there's something competitively to Saquon Barkley that just flips a switch. And it doesn't matter what's going on around him. It doesn't matter that he's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. Whatever. His quarterback can't complete passes down the field. I would not be surprised at all if Saquon Barkley, Friday during the day, I should say, against Chicago, a team that does not have a good run defense, which, I mean, if Mason Rudolph doesn't go full Mason Rudolph and fumble the ball, the Steelers were in control of that game. They're going down to take the lead. They ran for almost 200 yards. It would not surprise me at all if Saquon Barkley just has that get-right game, if the Eagles have that get-right game, if he just turns it on right now with everything in front of him. I mean, you've been around some of the best of the very best competitors in this sport, Jim. There are a select few who, I mean, we just threw all these numbers at everybody. Okay, beyond the numbers, Saquon Barkley's sitting there. He's thinking about legacy. He wants to go down as one of the greatest ever. He wants to wear a gold jacket. He wants to win multiple Super Bowls. He's pointing the finger at himself. Yeah, he knows that things aren't perfect around him. I don't know. I guess I don't have something tangibly to point to. But after everything we just said, I think Saquon Barkley, maybe it's at 144 yards a game, I think he is about to go off right now. Like, especially after a fumble that cost his team the game. And then he had the one play on a third down where he slipped. Like, it was one of the worst games of his career, given the moment. I think I put him in that category of players who has a game like that and does everything in his power to just shift it to another gear and defy everything we think about running backs at his age, with his mileage, whatever.
I think it is that simple, though. I think if Barkley gets off, if we see the run game improve, then I think Philly's right back in the mix, like for the Super Bowl, just like we said. They know how to play with this style. They know how to play with Hurts. They know how to win Super Bowls with Hurts. It's not easy. The league is set up
That's
to throw the
exactly it.
ball down the field.
Yeah, it is. And it's all, but you know what's crazy? I mean, they were up 21-0. Like
Can't lose that game.
you throw to get a
Yeah, they did
lead,
it
you
right.
run to
Yeah, I'm
keep.
telling you, they got to run the ball. They need to run the ball. I think that it's just that's simple as that. They have to. Saquon has to find a way. It's not Saquon. I mean, he's still Saquon. He is a different style back. I mean, he is so big. You know, Gibbs and Robinson have that elite. You know, they're so they can slither. They can get so skinny inside and not and avoid things and find little creases. Saquon is just a. I mean, he's a bull. Like he's just a big, heavy-legged. Just I'm going to run you over or run by you. You know, even when he tries to make people miss, it's. I mean, it's impressive when he can do it, but that's really not his style. So he needs up front to be strong. You know, he needs to hit that hole, and he's going to run away from you. Or in the pass game too. He's always been good on screens with that speed in the open field. So I think you're right. I think if we see Saquon get moving, I think the Eagles are right back in the mix. But until then, you don't have to. We don't have to overthink this. Hurts has been exposed. If they can't run the ball, he's proven they
Completely.
can't score.
Who is like the craziest competitor that you've ever been around?
Ooh,
Eagles to Saints to Bills to
Drew
wherever,
Brees was
really.
probably up there. I saw Drew Brees in a he was just walking out to practice one time. It's training camp. And it was like he just threw a little warm up, just their warm up. It wasn't even a practice period. He threw a warm up pass. I don't remember the receiver, but Darren Sharper, was just messing around, came over and picked it off. And it pissed Brees off to the point where he was pissed. The rest of the practice, he lit up that defense. Like it was like he was so dialed in after that. We were all, we're at training camp, so college scouts, we're not always around. We're like, how did that it lit a fire in him that we didn't see coming? And Brees had this fire. I hadn't been around anybody like that every single day he had the fire to carry the organization. I mean, it was that he accepted that role. People don't realize the pressure. Everybody talks about the money the quarterback, the franchise guy makes. It's for a reason. You're the face of the franchise. The city's relying on you. Look at Buffalo right now. We're walking around here in Buffalo. I say we because we all live here in Buffalo. We're acting like the Bills and Josh Allen's not the problem in Buffalo. Like they have the right quarterback. Like so, Philly. Like my point is, these guys hurt. Josh Allen's hurting right now. The pressure's on him to carry this city. He knows how much this city wants to win the Super Bowl. So I guess what I'm saying is Brees accepted it, lived it every day. I always say we left 2 or 3 Super Bowls out there in New Orleans. I think we would all agree.
Yeah.
Two, I think in my head that for sure. But that's sustained success when you have that quarterback he probably had that Michael Jordan. When you hear people talk about Jordan, Isaiah Thomas, that competitive, like that's what put those guys over the top. That's what put Drew Brees over the top.
I think Saquon's got it in him, and I think that the Eagles just have to stick to who they are. I mean, you're not going to wave a magic wand and turn Jalen Hurts into a totally different quarterback. Like I get the lament from whoever that would have been internally for the Eagles that you've got a different kind of quarterback who is tapping the brakes. I mean, really in Buffalo, Tyrod was like that. Tyrod, I mean, he's not Jalen Hurts. I'm not saying he is, but the receiver kind of had to be open for him to then pull the trigger. More apt for the check down, more apt to use his legs, and Hurts does that as well as anybody. I mean, if it's at the 1 yard line, you know he's going to get the first down. You know he's going to get the touchdown. Quarterback draws. He's the best in the business. He can throw it deep, and maybe they should pull that trigger a little bit more. But it is, I think, where it's a little disheartening. Just all the gloom and doom around the defending champs. Isn't it crazy? They won the Super Bowl last year. I think if the Bills won the Super Bowl, the locals would be okay with like 0-16 a couple years in a row. Maybe not 5-10, but they would be okay losing for a while with one Super Bowl. And the Eagles have won 2. But yeah, this reminded me of a conversation with Reed Blankenship last year ahead of the Super Bowl down there in New Orleans. Sat down with Reed, great personality. Actually did a feature on him a couple years before that. And there's just not many white safeties out there, and he had a little fun with that. His nickname is Ghost, but he was there through 2022 when they get to the Super Bowl, they lose it, and then 23. Remember they start 10-1, then everything went to hell. And it was like it was like Ghost saw a ghost when I brought that up. Quote, knowing that you can't get in that rhythm, something's off. It was a sucky feeling I hope I never have to experience again. Well, like here they are again, right? Like it's kind of the same deal. So back then they were again 10-1, finished 1-6, were blown out by the Bucks in the wild card. Both coordinators were fired. Nick Sirianni, the fans wanted him fired. And then you go into the next season, they started 2-2. The Bucks blew them out again. All sorts of soap opera scenes. You had A.J. Brown ripping the passing game after they barely beat Carolina. Sirianni was screaming at his own fans when they beat Cleveland. Brandon Graham, who's back with the team since, but he was insinuating on a show that Hurts and Brown don't even like each other that much. And Hurts is taking the passive-aggressive jabs at Sirianni. Like, all this stuff's going on. And what happened? Well, Fangio was their D coordinator. He's willing to have those harsh conversations with players. They listened. They improved. And I think offensively, defensively, when you just – and this gets to everything that you've seen firsthand in the NFL. I feel like Philly, when they build a team, they're okay just loading up that roster with as much talent as they possibly can, as many personalities as they possibly can. You're at C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's now at Chicago. Like, he's been with half the league. Jalen Carter, maybe the most talented player in that draft. Scouts are wondering if he loves football, and he had problems with the law. Like, they take all this on and they say, we'll figure out camaraderie, right? We'll figure out culture and chemistry, and because talent takes precedent over vibes. The vibes are bad right now, and the scheme is pretty bad too. I still feel like, though, a lot of the talent is there, and over the course of the year, that talent will kind of rise to the top. Whether it's, Quinyon Mitchell shutting down your best receiver on one side of the ball, Jalen Carter, he talked about this with the reporters out there. I mean, he just had some heart-to-heart conversations with Vic Fangio, and Fangio's like, tell him you got to get your conditioning up. The kind of stuff they didn't want to hear in Miami. Miami, they just, they kicked him out the door. I mean, you've got players that are willing to have the hard conversations that you have to have right now if you're Philadelphia, and they're really talented. I mean, go right down the list with whoever on both sides of the ball. It's there. Even Hurts, he doesn't do a lot of the things that the best quarterbacks do, but what the specific skill set he does have can work. A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, do you see history repeating itself? And do you like that approach as a GM to take swing after swing after swing and trust that talent will prevail? Or is this thing just going to spontaneously combust and, the Eagles are bound to, go through what they did in 23?
Two answers to that question, because yes, you're always going to take talent. Yes, always. Figure it out once you get them in your building. But I wouldn't have Hurts as my guy as a GM. He wouldn't have been my choice as a quarterback. That's GM coach specific. They obviously, have catered to Hurts' skill set offensively. So that's just, to me, that's a hard way to sustain success. They are proving it wrong, obviously, because I'm with you. If Saquon starts running the ball again, it's hard not to think they can't be in the mix to get back to the Super Bowl again. It's just so hard. Like, really, what they've done is impressive because it's so hard to get back. It's so hard to make the playoffs.
I think that
next year.
It is. And you know what? I mean, I think the Dallas game's an anomaly for the defense too. Like, they held Green Bay to a touchdown. They held Detroit to a touchdown. You watch those games, those corners, coached by Christian Parker, who's going to be a defensive coordinator, maybe a head coach one day himself. They had them locked down. And I don't know. I mean, George Pickens looked like Randy Moss that game. He is just mossing balls atop the heads of guys. CeeDee Lamb, same deal. I don't feel like the alarm bells should be ringing defensively. I think that Philly still has one of the best defenses in the league, still can get pressure without blitzing. Zach Bond is a playmaker at linebacker, and they'll be okay there. Like you always say, the Bills are okay with Josh Allen. They'll figure that out. That's how I feel about Philly's defense. And look, if you get to 20 points with this defense, you're going to win.
I agree with you. That defense is that's how you build a Super Bowl. It's quarterback defense, in my opinion. The Eagles kind of just did it just a little differently, where they're just loaded. The quarterback's a good system quarterback for them, but they are loaded on defense, and that bails you out, or not bail you out, but it gives you hope, keeps you in every game until the offense starts clicking. Good NFC.
It is. I mean, it's just wild when you look back at what these players said about digging themselves out of a really bad place in 23 to get to the Super Bowl again. It wasn't easy. I mean, something was off. I think like Nick Sirianni. We always kind of wonder, like, what do you do around here? I think that is. You're shaking your head. I think there is something to a head coach being able to kind of navigate through the chaos, through your players being so pissed off and the leaks and the pressure. Like, it just says a lot about like the fans and what's expected of this team in Philly. It's a little different than other places. Like, they just won a Super Bowl and people are pretty pissed off. But he's got that ability to kind of just keep everything moving. And I don't think all this drama is going to affect the 3 hours on a Sunday, I guess, is however you get there, whatever his skill is.
I agree with you. They're professional.
I like them. I've got to come around on Sirianni.
I don't know. You're right. I don't know what to make of him. This whole thing is off on how the coach quarterback combo, like I always talk about, has to be synced up. I don't know if it's synced up.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either, but it like you said, but this year they're fighting. I mean, those are horrible numbers on offense. We're talking about 20th, 25th on yards per play and rushing yards per attempt. That's not even playoff football, like not even close. So it tells you how good their defense is.
So what do we keep coming back to then? It's about Saquon becoming Saquon.
The running game and defense will carry them. And then Hurts will make the plays like he has in the past to put them over the top to get the win. I mean, he does prove that. He has proven that.
Well, they're going to be an ornery bunch on Black Friday against Chicago. And who knew that Philly-Chicago would be ripe with NFC playoff implications. Anything else on the Eagles before we move on with, I mean, even past stories? I mean, you were a scout there, so you have a sense for what life is like in that market.
The only thing that's still there, I mean, Howie Roseman was there, Jeffrey Lurie, the owner. I mean, if you notice, like, nothing's changed. The city, obviously, like you said, they'll boo them this year if they don't get back. I mean, they want another Super Bowl. So, but that's that city. That's what they expect.
Here's a hypothetical for you. Okay. Given what's expected of the football team in Philadelphia, what would the reaction be if Nick Sirianni was starring in a Hallmark movie right now, like Sean McDermott just was? I don't think the fans would take it well.
It's simple. That's a tough one because if you aren't winning, it doesn't matter what you do. You could be the best actor in the world, but if you're not winning, those fans don't want to see you in a movie. You better get back in that office and draw up that next play.
Like they don't care if that movie was recorded in the off season.
It doesn't it doesn't make sense to them. Like, how do you have time to do this movie? And it was filmed a long time ago.
Did you catch the Hallmark movie?
I probably won't catch that one, Tyler. I'll take the reviews from you or whoever.
Well, I regret to inform you that I did watch the movie with my wife.
What's Sean's role in it?
You know, he actually did a pretty good job. Yeah, he was smooth. It was a Hallmark movie. It was, your typical Christmas love story. It was cool to see like East Aurora, on the big screen, and Vidler's
watch that movie
Barville.
Sean played like a bad like uncle or a bad Santa. Came in like stealing.
Well, that's what was crazy. Well, you'll appreciate this. What was crazy about the movie though is the most heartwarming character in it, like the most endearing character in it, who is how do I even describe him in this movie? Yeah, spoiler alert. Everybody knows how these movies end. Like, somebody gifted this guy like Christmas presents every year because he needed it when he was young, and he went to Vietnam and came back. They're trying to figure out who like was sending him these presents. And he plays a great part. Many heartfelt, heartwarming scenes. Guess who it is? What actor? Ralphie from Sopranos. Like the most vicious character in the most vicious show. Just just murdering his side piece for the fun of it, I guess. In the Sopranos, is central to this love story.
It sounds about right.
I couldn't get past that. Like the rest of the movie was like, I'm picturing Ralphie here, just doing awful things in the Sopranos.
Well, I appreciate the review, Tyler. I'm going to take that and run.
All right, so Buffalo, they've got Pittsburgh this week. After starting 4-0, they're 3-4. I think probably the stat to look at is since the start of the 2023 season, they're 11-12 on the road, losing record, I believe. So something's wrong when they pack up and get on the charter and head to another city. Houston, I mean, we don't have to belabor the Houston game. I feel like it's been forever ago, but D'Amico Ryans kind of said the quiet part out loud. Their in-house TV show. He's like, hey, we were surprised that they left Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter singled up. They didn't really chip them. And that front for Houston just beat the ever-living shit out of Josh Allen, start to finish. I mean, just they tried to win one-on-one, hope that maybe Josh could elude a guy, somebody could uncover, make a play down the field. That never really happened. And, all the eyeballs are on the offense. And the offense wasn't good again. But what kind of gets lost in it, it's that middle eight, right? The last 4 minutes of a first half, the first 4 minutes of a second half. The Bills are always so bad in that middle eight. Bill Belichick talks about that often. You got to win those 8 minutes. You double dip and, you steal a field goal here. You prevent a field goal drive there. And yes, I mean, sure, defense, valiant effort amid all of the injuries in the second half. Davis Mills went right down the field. Like I wrote, he was Joe Montana in the Super Bowl spotting John Candy in the crowd. He was on another level. Davis Mills. Against the backup quarterback, you can't produce 0 sacks and create 0 turnovers. So I don't know where you stand. I think we're in agreement on this one. It's always been about the defense. It's still about the defense. I trust Josh Allen will be Josh Allen when things matter most. And yes, there are issues on offense, Keon Coleman, what have you. But the reason that they drafted 5 players in a row on the defensive side of the ball, the reason you signed Joey Bosa, Larry Ogunjobi, Michael Hoyt, you do all this on defenses because your defense can't stop a nosebleed in the playoffs. You got to try something different. And amid the injuries, everybody's got injuries. Yes, the Bills have injuries. But that's where the problems are, to me. And you have to beat a backup quarterback. Like these quarterbacks that have been winning against Buffalo in these road games are not exactly world beaters. There are many Davis Mills types doing it. And you shouldn't let that shouldn't be happening when you've got a defensive minded head coach.
Well, yeah, unless the defensive players aren't talented enough to execute what the defensive coach is.
And that's the chicken or the egg debate that we're having. Yeah.
I mean, that is where we're at, I think. I think we all know that in Buffalo right now with defense is who is responsible. We talked about who is responsible for all these picks. It's not like they haven't invested. Are they going to bring Elam back from Dallas?
Oh,
I mean, that's another guy.
Well, Shaq Lawson, somebody you drafted.
It's not possible.
I was trying to sign
Shaq last year in the UFL.
He's back.
Yes.
You were? How close was that from happening?
That's what I'm trying. I don't know what's going on in Buffalo right now. Jordan Phillips, Shaq Lawson. I don't know what's going on with these guys. They're bodies. Those are just bodies. Just bodies, not playmakers. They're playmakers. I don't see any playmakers on defense. Bishop's done a nice job of showing up because he's got some speed, but I mean, he's going to get exposed in space. I'm just saying, I don't see it on defense. I just don't see the talent anymore. I see a lot of first-round picks, though. A lot of investment on that defense. I'm to the point, Tyler. We don't have to talk much about the offense. They're going through what they're going through. Once again, if you really want to talk about it, it's the talent. We're going to keep saying it. If you don't have playmakers at receiver, your quarterback is going to feel pressed to have to do everything. And that's hard on Josh because he is capable of doing everything, but he operates best when he can just spread it around and down the field. And the backyard football that always makes him great, that he and the receivers aren't connecting on those, the broken play type hookups that we saw he and Diggs hook on. Gabe Davis is back, one of the, from the graveyard. We have everybody back. They're trying. They are trying their best. I mean, I just have a tough time believing that's the best out there as a scout. It's a general rule. I mean, how many times have you gone back to an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend? We have men. If you go back to your ex, how does that usually work? It ended for a reason.
Oh, man.
Things don't end because things were great. They end because things weren't good. So I think the Bills are desperate on defense for sure. Doesn't mean they can't. Sean obviously is a successful X and O. I do consider him a very successful X and O defensive coach. I told you before, I respect Al Holcomb, who's on that staff on defense. He's been a coordinator in the league. So Sean has people he's trusted in tough situations like this. They're all banging their heads right now. And at some point, they're going to walk down to that GM's office and knock on the door and say, hey, we're out of our X and O stuff. We need some players.
I don't know, though, Jim. I mean, the talent was enough to beat the Chiefs 5 years in a row in the regular season. That means something.
Did they stop them? Or were they beating them was it Josh versus Patrick?
I think that there were moments in these games, to the extreme this year where, I mean, Mahomes, it was his statistically, completion percentage-wise, the worst game of his career. And you saw it. Like, you saw pressure from Bosa, from Hoyt, who that's a big injury.
That was big. He did show up. He did look like he showed up a little bit.
It was there. Hairston sticking with Xavier Worthy, deep interception. Make it like you could. I'm just saying, like, hey, look, I wasn't in front office as you were, so take it for a grain of salt. I feel like you've seen the vision for Brandon Beane sporadically in the regular season against the team that you've got to get past, the Chiefs. And he's at fault for this. McDermott's at fault for this. It's like they get a few injuries and there's a completely different defense. And I think that's where my frustration would be if I was Brandon Beane. This whole chicken or the egg debate where it's like, okay, like we have a defensive coach. Like, you should be able to weather some of these injuries. I always come back to Kyle Shanahan. His offense has been without their quarterback, without their wide receivers, without George Kittle, without back. Like, they've been missing guys all year.
Every year.
And what are they, 8-4? Like, they're always in there because they've got an offensive-minded coach who can figure shit out, and Kyle Shanahan. Like, McDermott should be able to figure some stuff out. Like, that's your area of expertise. But here's where it gets interesting, Jim. To your point, if McDermott is sitting there as a defensive coach and saying, I want weapons, like, maybe he does have a case to make here. Like, if he was the one in the offseason that was pushing for, I don't know, receiver. Like, look at George Pickens. I mean, maybe Pittsburgh isn't going to trade him to you, but a player like that, like, take a chance on a personality.
They had that
at receiver. Guess what? There's a lot of personalities.
They had that in Diggs. He was a known personality, and they deemed him. We need him out of the building.
But it shouldn't have scared them. Whoever's at fault, that shouldn't scare you away from the next guy.
I don't disagree with you on that
at all.
But on defense, if they say injuries, who is it that's injured? I mean, they don't have anybody that matters.
Eddie Pressures.
Well, it doesn't even start on most teams. They don't have anybody. Like, these injuries are just injuries. They're not anybody significant.
Yeah. So this comes from Joe from Queens. I brought him up a few times. He's an OG Go Long subscriber.
Oh, yeah.
I trust him with this stat that he just put out. He was crowd surfing here on X, asked how many times have the Bills re-signed the same guys? By his count, Jordan Phillips 4 times, Shaq Lawson 3 times, Jordan Poyer twice, Micah Hyde twice, Josh Norman twice, John Brown twice. He called him Vax Beasley. Cole Beasley twice, AJ Klein 3 times, Gabe Davis twice, Trey White twice. So yeah, that's quite the list. They love Jordan Phillips. I like Jordan Phillips. He's fun to talk to, but I'm also not devising a game plan to win a Super Bowl.
No.
So Shaq Lawson back for the third time. That's so. If you're a pro scout, I mean, these pro scouts for the Bills, for people who don't know, like we always see them in the press box. Like I was sitting by some, they usually sit right by me in the Bills press box, like scouts for other teams, looking at future opponents for their team and taking notes. And you're going to give that scouting report to the coaches, to whoever, but you're also looking for guys that might be on the waiver wire, who might become available. I mean, people are employed to find professional football players for other teams who maybe have not been in your building, who can help you in your building. Yet there's two arguments here. So are the Bills, like, they obviously trust these guys that I just listed off. Like, they know the system, they know the culture, they've been there. Like, there's a familiarity. But is it another case of maybe the Bills are operating out of fear and not taking a chance on somebody? I always come back to Ron Wolf, like in '96 when they won the Super Bowl. What did they do? They're decimated at receiver. Robert Brooks tore his ACL. Antonio Freeman broke his arm. Mark Chmura, I believe, went down at tight end that year. There was a game against the Lions that they won, like 27-17, where Terry Mickens is catching 2 touchdowns. Don Beebe had that crazy game Monday night against the 49ers, like 200 yards, where a defender did graze his leg, but the ref missed it. He got up, ran for a touchdown. But what did they do that year? Like, they needed a receiver. They've got an MVP quarterback. Went in his second of 3 straight in Brett Favre. They went and got Andre Rison, who was a head case basically everywhere he's been. But they took a swing, and Ron Wolf was not afraid to take a swing. I don't know if that's what we come back to. Is it McDermott wanting guys he's familiar with, and McDermott unafraid to incorporate somebody new on the fly, like we know how he is with rookies, or is it being in the pro scouting staff not vouching or pushing for somebody new? I don't know.
That's tough if we're not in the building, but when you bring ex players back, it is because they can pick up things quick. They know you can, as long as they're in shape, you can get them on the field, and they know what's asked of them. So that would be the coach probably winning at. I would like to think the pro scouting department had some guys that they lost out on, that they weren't able to sign because they just felt more comfortable bringing these guys back, plug and play type guys. I would hope there was some creativity or some type of scouting going on. That's bare bones to me.
There is a line of demarcation too, like between fringe waiver wire player that Jim is looking at in the UFL and somebody you're going to trade an asset for at the trade deadline. So I suppose, like, maybe we're talking 2 different tiers here, and the Bills have tried some trades. A lot of them haven't worked out. Amari Cooper, Kelvin Benjamin, and it sounds like they tried. If we're led to believe the reports, the Bills didn't want to part with a 2026 first rounder for Jalen Waddle. They wanted it to be a future first round pick, which I don't understand. Like, if you get him this year, you're probably going to have a low pick in the first round. So that you don't know what's going to happen in the future year. God forbid you lose your quarterback. I mean, it could be a high pick in the future year. But anyways, I mean, just like, I think the Rams, you look at the Rams and how they're built. They've got dudes like that. On their defense, it was Emmanuel Forbes. They got in a trade from Washington. It looks like a completely different corner, the way he was able to trail Chris Godwin across the field for that. I don't know if you caught it. It was an incredibly athletic pass break. He had a pick too at the end of the first half. To philosophically, look, Les Snead wore the shirt with his face on it. Earmuffs, kids. Fuck them picks. They went all in 2021. You're an all-in guy. They made the Stafford trade, which I think all things quarterback, that's like its own conversation. Like, do whatever you can to get your quarterback. Trade up in the draft, like the Bills did for Josh Allen. Trade whatever you want to get him at Stafford. That's who McVay wanted. He was getting, but also it was trading assets for Odell Beckham, trading assets for Von Miller. going all in. And I think, the thinking was like, okay, you do all this and you're going to be drowning in dead cap. You're not going to have draft picks to rebuild. You're going to be screwed. What happened? They won a Super Bowl. So maybe the conversation should just end there. You win a ring. It justifies everything and anything, with Jaquiski Tart helping you out along the way. And yeah, they did have a terrible record the next year, whatever they were, a 3 or 4 win team, but they also had injuries. Like, Stafford went down, Aaron Donald went down, Cup on top of it all. But then they boomeranged right back to the elites the next year. And why? Because you've got the quarterback. Like, he makes a lot of problems go away. And you drafted really well. And you look at their defense, how many teams just lose an Aaron Donald to retirement and then are able to draft Byron Young, Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, Jared Verse. I mean, 4 dudes up front who instantly become your young core. Like, that's what, it's as true now as it was 50 years ago. You got to draft well and need a quarterback. So I don't know why teams should operate out of fear, when you've got a chance to just go for it. You've got a quarterback, do whatever you can to win a Super Bowl.
That's it. There it is. Because the Bills are facing it right now. And I don't know if they're, like you said, they've tried to make trades. I don't know. It takes 2 to tango. So it's true. You cannot, teams might not want to deal with you because you do have Josh Allen. Why would you want to give him a receiver? Why would Miami want to do that in the division? I don't know.
I think that's probably why Bean was so pissed off too. Like, I think he really did try. I think he really did want Waddle. Miami just wasn't going to do it. And they shouldn't. And
well, you know what?
Yeah, when I rattle off the Rams like philosophy, it's not necessarily an indictment of what's going on in Buffalo. No. I just think that they should be a modern model for everybody.
They do.
Like, it's not that complicated. We make it complicated. It's really not that
quarterback defense. That simple. For me, I've always believed it's quarterback. Get your quarterback, then build that defense, and you've sustained success forever.
And that's what Bean has tried to do, Jim. They drafted defense like crazy. They signed a bunch of new guys. That's where, at least as we sit here right now, things could change. If you're assigning blame, going into this year, for me, it was always when you get to January, can the defense get a stop? They're going to get there. I don't know how they're going to get there, and they're not going to win the division. They're going to have to go on the road. Josh Allen and the Bills will be in the playoffs. And it's going to be the same conversation that we always have here. Like, I feel like offensively they'll be okay, even with these receivers failing to get separation. They'll be okay. Can the defense get a stop?
100% with you. I know sometimes we say we should disagree more, have some banter back and forth on some things. I'm with you on this one too. I'm not ever going to worry about that offense.
I think where we disagree, it's in terms of like, okay, if their failure to get that stop, is it coaching or is it front office, right?
I agree. I just feel like, I'll say this, Tyler, for this year, I feel like GMs are skating by right now, kind of free in the NFL. It doesn't always work this way, but there's a lot of coaches getting chopped, and GMs are just sitting there like feeling and you're looking at the team. I'm looking at Carolina last night. I said it a couple of weeks ago on the pod. Bryce Young is not the guy. He's just not. Ooh. It's enough. Like, enough. And who's tried him?
I almost had to rewatch that Hallmark movie watching that game.
Same thing. 0. You're getting 0 out of it. Both games, Bryce Young and Hallmark. Actually, you're right. Hallmark might give you a little more.
I shut it off. Man, when San Francisco went up 17-3, I'm like, I got to go to bed. This is unwatchable out of Bryce Young.
I told you Bryce Young was done 2 weeks ago, and I invested plus 7.5 on Carolina last night. Anyway.
Well, you think you get 3 interceptions,
you would think,
from your defense on Brock Purdy in the first half, you're going to win.
Anyway, let's not talk Carolina. That was enough. The point being is GMs are getting by right now. We talked about Vegas. We talked about what's going on in Cleveland. What is going on in there? That's a mess. Cincinnati never has a GM. They're a mess. They have Tobin, but we already said that. You never know what's going on. But head coaches are going to be losing jobs, not GMs. I'm just going to keep paying attention to that because I find that very interesting. GMs seem to be nicely like Joe Shane. another one. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying look at who's surviving and who's not.
And that's where I think it's all about relationships with the owner and what the owner wants to believe, right? Like who's like in Buffalo, who's getting Terry Pegula's ear, and who would he believe?
Totally.
And maybe who can make the best case? Because I know Joe Shane is catching a lot of shit out there right now in Giants country, and a lot of it's justified. When you don't win games, like there's typically ramifications for it. It's also true, like, in terms of the Giants and their collapse, it's been different this year, like the same record as last year. But last year, I feel like they're getting waxed by 20, 30 points. This year, they got 4 double-digit leads on the road. They blow it. 2 of them against teams winning records. Like they just can't play 60 minutes. Is that how the team was constructed, or is that how they're being coached? I don't know. And however they got there, they got Jackson Dart. And then it's like, okay, who is the driving force there? Who does John Mara want to believe? They do have a number 1 receiver, Malik Neighbors. They've got Andrew Thomas as a left tackle.
That's fair.
They've got a good D line.
That's very fair.
Like there's enough there. If you're a coach looking at your options, I could see wanting to coach the New York Giants.
Agreed.
And love Brian Dable. I think he's one of the greatest teachers at the quarterback position in football. But I mean, he got fired right on this show, right? Late in games, game management, game operations, all that stuff. What do you do on 4th down here? What do you do on 4th down there? That was an issue for him. It's just a totally different world. I know I'm a Joe Shane apologist. I know I can hear the Giant fans railing on me from out there in New Jersey.
But I actually don't. I don't disagree with what you said, though. You made good facts for Joe. They have had some good. I mean, those are good picks. If Dart, especially if he's looking like he's on the climb. So I'm not saying. It's funny how GMs are getting by. But to your point, maybe Joe does. I mean, you have a quarterback, left tackle, number 1 wideout. That's pretty good drafting.
Cam Scattaboo for as long as he can scattaboo his way through defenses. I mean, how long is he going to last playing?
How long has he left? I mean,
you think he's done?
No, but I think could be again. I mean, I don't think he's going to change his style up when he comes back. When they tried to stop Josh Allen from running a couple years ago, I don't think you can't do that too.
No, you can't. It'd be dumb to try to get him to change too. Style. Like just take it for as long as you can. But was it Tom Brady that cloned a goat or something? Maybe they bring Tom Brady and you can clone some Scataboos. Just get a couple Scataboos. Have one on ice, right? You freeze one of them. Freeze a Scataboo. So when your current Scataboo goes down and his bones sticking through the skin or whatever happens next, you just unfreeze the other Scataboo. He takes a 13-minute pee like Austin Powers. You throw him onto the field. Problem solved.
I'm picturing like Tom Brady's pulling Brady's and Scataboos out of lockers like robots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brady does look like he does look robotic a little bit. And he's always like throwing football and like talking football. It's like, man, Tom, like nothing else. Nothing else. Just yourself. Yeah. You want to just talk about you and how you were angry that Michigan didn't play you and you were drafted wherever. And guess what, Tom? You did it. You did it. You proved everybody. You proved it so much that the head coach that drafted you is now he's falling apart in a middle school with a girlfriend. Like that's how
going to cheer competitions.
Right, cheer competitions. That's how great Tom Brady.
Careful, Jordan Hudson might sue you. She's suing Pablo Torre. Yeah, watch it. Yeah, it's strange. Tom Brady doesn't say anything. I mean, his broadcasts are so boring. You would think after 2 decades in the NFL, all the knowledge, all the stories, I get it. He's compromised. I mean, he's owning a team and he's got all these relationships. He's terrified of his own shadow to say anything that could criticize anybody, like so many are. But my God, give us something for what you're getting paid. It's brutal.
I thought Drew Brees actually I read a comment that he made the other day that I really thought was good because he's trying to get himself back. He's a terrible announcer too. He'll put you to sleep. But he he made a great comment that if you have no timeouts and you are trying to complete a slant and spike it, it's 12 seconds. I thought that was outstanding. He said the Saints practice a 12-second. Yeah. It led me to what Coach Payton always did. It goes back to your middle 8 talk, the last 4 minutes and first 4 minutes of the second half. We used to always, I never understood it. I always grew up 2-minute offense, 2-minute offense. When I got to New Orleans, and I'm sure teams have done this before, it was just for me, this was my first exposure, but Coach Payton did everything. It was 4-minute offense. Like, what's 4-minute offense, Drew? That's why. 4 minutes to milk the clock if you have the ball and have the lead, or in the first half. Not just for the 4 minutes at the end. People think it's for the last. It's not for the end of the game. It's for the last 4 minutes at the end of the half. So you practice your hurry up or how you hold the ball to kick it with the clock. You have the ball, you're kicking it, and the clock is going to 0. If you're in a field goal range type thing. 4 minutes to keep the ball or 4 minutes to score and not give them the ball back. That's middle 8. And it's practice, it's repped, and the great quarterbacks believe in it and talk about it.
I don't know why we don't get more of that insight from Tom Brady.
Yeah, Breeze, that was a good one.
He lived it.
I like that
he,
one.
He did it at the highest level.
He's cloning, Tyler. He's cloning.
Yeah, he's too busy cloning. What else stood out to you week 12 in the NFL?
Well, I think we're seeing now the Darnolds, the Daniel Joneses. Are we sure? Are we sure we're ready for this? I like Darnold, and I respect what Daniel Jones has done, but I'm seeing some of that creeping out, those crazy interception games and ghosts and all that stuff. I think the Seattle team is so good. I can't believe I would love to see a Buffalo-Seattle Super Bowl. Believe it or not. I like that coach in Seattle. I like John Schneider. I like the way the team's built. They can run the ball. They have the quarterback. They're tough. That at Seattle, Rams, Buffalo, KC, I just want one of those combos in the Super Bowl.
You might be the only person with a microphone or a pen in Western New York mentioning the Buffalo Bills and the Super Bowl in the same sentence.
I know. I still believe it. I still don't see how they can. I actually think they can get there because of 17. I really do. I think he's going to find a way. And maybe that's my belief in quarterbacks too much. You talked about Brett Favre, who I think he's your favorite quarterback growing up. He was mine. That receiver group you talked about from that Super Bowl team was garbage. Even Robert Brooks and Antonio Freeman don't even play on other teams. Those guys are just guys because Favre was a monster. So that goes.
And they had the number one defense in the NFL that year.
Always, it's that quarterback defense. So full circle of Buffalo, they need to play better defense. Not a shocker.
Totally agree. I wouldn't edit one word from that column that we wrote out of the Buccaneers shootout win, where you've got Josh Allen in full. It's not just smashing all the buttons and running over your linebacker. It's giving him a menu of options in the passing game. And so, yeah, you try to do that against Houston, and you're going to run into some trouble when you try to do that against a team with those kind of pass rushers. But I don't think they should be gun shy against TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that is your best route to a championship. It's letting Josh Allen do it all. It's not ideal, but that's where you are. So, yeah, I think you're right. It's they're Super Bowl contenders, even if they've got to go on the road. Patrick Mahomes just went on the road a couple years ago.
Do that now.
New England struggled with Cincinnati.
They're
right. You're seeing a few issues there popping up.
It goes to why I do think Buffalo still does it. Who's great in the AFC? I keep saying it. Who is so good in the AFC that Buffalo can't beat? I mean, that's kind of my theory. Is it's a shakeup. There's a lot of even teams. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, I think, take you to. I just think we're going to see them again in the AFC Championship.
Well, that's the thing. The season is so freaking long. It's long. 17 games, 18 weeks. That it's the same conversation. Now, Joe Burrow has a little work to do. I don't think we'll see Joe Burrow in the dance.
They don't look right. Lamar doesn't look right.
Well, I was going to say, though, I think it's still Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson.
I agree. As long as Lamar is Lamar.
That scares you the most in that conference. Yeah. You want to believe in the Colts and their brand of football. And I will say that would be a bad matchup for Buffalo. They could run the ball. They could dictate the terms of the fight. Still love Drake May in New England. But yeah, it's wide open. I mean, Jacksonville. Oh, Liam Cohen just seems disgusted by his own quarterback. And they've got the tiebreaker over Kansas City.
He should be.
They've got a decent chance of getting in.
I'm close with Trevor. He's almost on that Bryce Young train for me.
Oof. You're going to toss him to your backup island?
Oh, the island is beautiful. We're very proud of the island, backup quarterback island. Jameis makes us very proud every year.
Oh, Jameis. Well, I know that you got to run. You've got some UFL duties, fatherly duties, doing it all, and we appreciate having you here on Real Football, Jim Monis. And thanks everybody out there for watching, for listening, sharing with a friend. Completely powered by our loyal listeners, readers. We are forever indebted. So thank you so much. And I hope everybody out there has a phenomenal Thanksgiving, man. It's you're right. It is one of the best days of the year, Jim. Absolutely love Thanksgiving. The food, the football, most of all the family. That's what's most important. And football is family. So the NFL is just going to tear families apart on Thanksgiving, on Christmas. That's what they do, right? That's a good hearty note to leave on. All right. Thanks so much, everyone.